Good morning, everybody, and no mai haere mai. And I welcome everybody, including our viewers online, and remind councillors, turn your mics on before you speak. And I now ask Councillor Maxwell to open the meeting with the council prayer, please.
Kia ora koutou katoa. He ino I tātou. Kia tau anō, kia tātou katoa te ata whai o tō tātou eriki ai Ukraiti. Me te aroha o te atua me te whiwhinga tahitanga ki te wairua tapu. Ai anei a ake tōnu atu. Āmene. Almighty God, who alone is the leader of all mankind and the fountain of all knowledge, send thy blessing upon us, your servants, this day as we strive to do all things good for the betterment of the people of the Rotorua district. May we be tolerant in ourselves at all times through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Kia ora koutou.
Thank you, Councillor Maxwell. Now we call for any apologies, and I have an apology from Councillor Bentley, Councillor Sturt. An apology? Oh, that's right. Thank you. And Councillor Rotorua, do I have a mover that those apologies be accepted? Thank you, Councillor Maxwell. Seconded. Councillor Gould. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary. Carried. Are there any declarations of interest? There appear to be none. Are there any urgent items on the agenda? There appear to be none. Move now to... Pardon? Oh, apologies, an oversight from me. Just advising you here that there is one urgent item that's arisen that will be discussed in confidential. I'm just raising that. It's a legal matter. And it's on the agenda. It's because we have new information to hand, and the item cannot be delayed until a subsequent meeting, and we require a decision by the district court. So we'll defer that to a legal matter on confidential. Right, confirmation of council minutes, page 7 of the council meeting on the 24th of August. Do I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Gould, that the minutes of the council meeting held on 24th of August be confirmed as a true and accurate record. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Kent. Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary. Carried. Recommendations from other committees. Just give you a chance. Some of you are on, Stella. Some of us aren't, so we're using hard copy and we'll jump between it. Page 15. Do I have a mover and a seconder to receive the report recommendations from other committees? Thank you, Councillor Gould. Seconded. Councillor Donaldson. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary. Carried. Now we'll take each recommendation on their own. Do I have a mover and a seconder for the recommendation of the Operations Monitoring Committee meeting held on the 7th of September, recommendation 1. Thank you, Councillor Tapsell. Seconded, Councillor Kent. Do you wish me to read it? I think it's all up there. It's open for discussion. Councillor Donaldson.
Thank you, Worship. My understanding, and it was raised in the committee, is that our CFO has met with Te Tato Aotearoa and explained the policy on disposal of surplus council property. So just for councillors' awareness.
And that will be coming to the next SPNF for all councillors. Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary. Certainly. Record that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The meeting is carried. Recommendation 2, a mover and a seconder for the stopping of part of Hamarona Road and disposal. If we could put that up there. You'll move. Thank you, Councillor Donaldson. Seconded, Councillor Gould. It is open for discussion. Is there any discussion, any query? No. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary? Carried. Now I'll give Carol a chance to move up. The Rotorua Visitor Economy Strategy. This is a recommendation from the Strategy, Policy and Finance Committee held on the 4th of September. Do I have a mover? Councillor Gould, seconded. Councillor Donaldson. We'll share it around. The item is up for discussion. Is there any further discussion? No? Was interesting actually at the Zone 2 meeting, an interesting discussion around remuneration authority and looking at how they size councillors' roles, and some of the criteria included the bed nights, and Councillor Donaldson spoke to that to say that's not how we measure our visitor destination here. So that will be taken into account, that's all, as it goes forward, especially as it is an aspect of sizing jobs for us in high tourist destinations. So I put that recommendation. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary? Carried. The next is the draft spatial plan. The next phase is the special consultative procedure that we're entering. Recommendation 2 for the draft spatial plan that we approve it, subject to any minor amendments for public consultation. Moved, Councillor Tapsell, seconded, Councillor Maxwell. Open for discussion. Is there any discussion? Yes.
Just a question for clarification, Your Worship. So we're approving the draft spatial plan for consultation. What will the consultation period be? Can we just be clear about that for online viewers? When does it start? When does it end?
Good morning, councillors. So the official period for receiving submissions will commence on the 9th of October, and I believe the final day is the 17th of November. I'll just have to clarify that last closing date, though, for you.
So that's quite interesting in conjunction with the LTP discussions that we're having. Councillor Gould?
Chair, with the 9th of October being the open for submissions, is that document going to be available this afternoon or tomorrow for the public to pick up?
We're just currently working on, following today's decision, hard copies will go to the publisher, and they usually take us about a week at the publishing house to receive the hard copies and distribute those for pickup. The electronic version will be available online within the next couple of days.
So it would be quite wrong to go to print before council. Yeah. So I now put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary? Carried. We move now to recommendation 1 from the Audit and Risk Committee meeting held on the 30th of August 2017, that council replace the Audit and Risk Committee charter with the delegations and amend the delegations as outlined in attachment 3. Do I have a mover? Move, Councillor Hunt. I'll second. Is there any discussion? Yes, Councillor Kent.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just question the fact that I don't see anything in those delegations saying that the committee actually makes recommendations that have to be approved by council.
It is an assumption that's correct. We may need to... Una, do you want to answer that? Repeat the question, Councillor Kent. It was...
Yeah, all the other delegations for committees, it states that their purpose is to make recommendations for approval by council. They cannot make the decisions themselves. That has been omitted from the Audit and Risk Committee's delegations, and I wonder why.
Donaldson?
Yes, Your Worship, I think that's covered off by the fact that this committee is subordinate to council. So you take from that it cannot...
You want it clearly stated.
Yeah, unilateral decisions. It's subordinate to council, so it doesn't report to another subcommittee or committee, a full committee. It reports directly to council with any recommendation.
Could we note your concern, get a bit of work done before we vote on it and bring it back? You're right about that. Well, it's just not there in the delegations, the clarity. So is the recommendation that this recommendation be carried over, subject to some further... No? Quite clear.
Yeah, on page 19, it does say type of committee, standing committee, subordinate to council. It's fairly clear there that it comes back to council. I don't think explaining it further actually is required.
No.
I can understand it wasn't in the body of the recommendation, so I can understand the confusion, but I do think that page 19 spells it out quite clearly, and I think it's covered in the limits to delegations and all the other things under there that are fairly standard or standing committees.
Perhaps if I can answer that, Your Worship. I note here, for example, that the Audit and Risk Committee, under the delegations as expressed here, has the authority to engage Council's external auditors. I would have thought that should be something that Council should approve based on the Audit and Risk Committee's recommendation.
The auditors.
The way the delegation's written is that what you are doing, or what council is doing, is providing the ability of the Risk and Audit Committee to engage the auditors. That is the nature of the way the delegation's actually set up. It wouldn't, given the delegation and the way that it's worded, they would not have to come back to council in order for that to be approved. That's right.
So we have
Which is precisely the point I'm making. All other appointments for all other boards have to be approved by council. Why should the Audit and Risk Committee make appointments on its own without referring them to council?
Just for clarification, Your Worship, are we looking on page 20, external audit, the first bullet point, it's engage with the auditors, not actually engage the auditors? I think
you're not engaging them.
It's a given that Audit New Zealand are the auditors for council. Not, we don't have a separate auditor that we
don't go
import.
outside, we don't shop for auditors. It is the Office of Audit.
Yeah, and Your Worship, under purpose, I think bullet point 5 clearly states the purpose of this committee is to provide that communication link between management, internal auditors, external auditors and council. So everything comes back to council if there's an issue.
I'm very happy with it.
So just further clarification, I just checked with Thomas, that's right. So the audit level, the engagement of the auditors actually fit within the delegations that you provide to the Chief Executive on to the CFO. So that's where the decision's made to engage to actually contract the auditors. The engagement and the discussion between audit and the organisation at the governance level is through the Risk and Audit Committee, and I think that's the point that Councillor Donaldson's making.
And there is a letter of engagement that the Mayor signs. And that's with the Office of Audit.
Well, if everyone's comfortable with it, I would withdraw my query. I was just raising the issue.
I think it's a good...
Because it's different.
Yeah, it's a good query for clarification. Right, I'm going to put the recommendation, therefore, that we replace the charter with the delegations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary? Carried. Now we move to 6.7, recommendation to risk and policy framework, that we note the content of the report, which is attachment 4, and council consider the preparation of a health and safety charter to define our responsibilities, how they're managed and monitoring. Do I have a mover? Councillor Gould, seconder. Councillor Hunt. Is there any discussion? Yes, I've got a query myself.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just looking to the table on page 41, which identifies the risks that Council has to sort of assess, I'm staggered to see that there is no assessment of the possibility of loss of life due to inadequate civil defence planning. I would have thought that would have been number one on the list of risks that this council should have to manage, because, for example, we are in a volcanic and earthquake-prone region.
Those who were at that was exactly the point I think Councillor Donaldson raised at the Risk and Audit Committee. It's our primary, one of our concerns. Not to over-egg it, and I think it was right that the answer came back that that is through the Civil Defence and Emergency Management response, that is managed, that risk. This is the health and safety. Yes, Stavros, do you want to answer that? I hope I'm correct. Stavros?
Our obligations Management Act, it is a statutory responsibility, and you note in the risk identification is that one of the risks is not to meet statutory responsibilities. So, Councillor Ken is absolutely correct, of course, but we've also got a whole range of other acts that have got statutory responsibility to meet, such as health, and safety, quality of water, sanitation, waste management, and all these bits and pieces, which it would have been in effect inefficient to list them as individual items. Simply, we do have a statutory responsibility to meet all statutes related to our activities, and we cluster them together. But certainly, civil defence is a significant undertaking we have to undertake.
And that's a legal responsibility. An audit. Okay, Councillor Gould.
Chair, I take it the staff's involvement and risk with staff doing council work has also been addressed properly, because it's staff which we've got to look after.
Perhaps the CEO should answer that. I'm absolutely.
That is actually covered through the health and safety requirements in the Act, which is a separate discussion, really, I think. And yes, absolutely, we have got an extensive response to how we ensure safety of our staff.
Added cost to the organisation to manage the Health and Safety Act, especially at work. So you're right, but that is covered. So I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary? Carried. Now, I need a resolution to go into public excluded, and I will advise that there are a legal matter for consideration in the public excluded. Do I have a mover? Thank you. Councillor Tapsell, seconded Councillor Donaldson. All those in favour, please say aye. Thank you. I didn't. Yep, that's right. You might want to. Do you want a 5-minute break or go straight into? Yeah. What is it?
Higher than yours.
There was also the three reports and all those different ones, but
Yeah, that's right.
Prison.
Yeah.